Hello, welcome back. It's another episode of Amplify with your host, me, Miranda. And today we are going to be looking at another one of our senses. Now, do you remember that last week we talked about our 5 senses and we smelled those lovely flowers, which were delightful. And we also did a gorgeous painting, which is a sight for our eyes. But then I started thinking, what about taste? What kind of things do we enjoy the taste of and what kind of things don't taste very nice? And I went home and had a good think to myself. Now, I like salty and sweet things together. So that means I like things like pineapple on pizza. And I know, a lot of people think it's an absolute crime to put pineapple on a pizza. I can't help myself. I really like it. And whilst I was thinking about pineapple pizza, I remembered that I had some pears in the fruit bowl. I don't very often eat pears, but I thought we'd give it a go. And so I peeled the pear because I'm not keen on the skin, and I sliced a few chunks off and ate them. And what I was left with was a core from the pear, and I wondered what I could do with it. It made me think I might be able to make a craft out of a fruit core. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to gather up a few bits and pieces and we're going to make something that could be a bookmark for you to keep your place in your book that's made out of a fruit core. So let me show you all the things you'll need and join me while we do another craft together. For today's craft, you're going to need a piece of white A4 card like this one and a pair of scissors. Be very careful because they're sharp. You'll need a glue stick. Any brand of glue will be fine. And some felt tip pens. Again, any brand is fine. You'll also need 3 or 4 lolly sticks to make the core. Now you can buy these at a shop where it sells craft items, but you could also use them from a lolly that you've eaten. Just make sure you give it a good wash and dry them off. So we're not going to use the whole piece of paper straight away. So let me just cut a little piece, and this is where we are going to glue our lolly sticks right onto here. So let's get the glue stick and plenty of glue on here. Rub, rub, rub. There we go. And then I'm going to glue the first stick as well. I like lots of glue. Stick that down. Oops, there we go. And stick number 2, plenty of glue on there. And stick it next to the first one. And the final one, stick number 3, plenty of glue, and on it goes. Now we need to wait for this to dry because we can't cut it out just yet whilst it's still wet. It would be a little bit too wobbly. So we're going to put that to one side and let it dry, and then we'll come back and cut it out. So pop that there. And on this one, I'm going to draw my apple. Let me just pop my glue away. And I think I will use this green to draw an outline. So a nice big curve and then another big curve to make the apple. And I'm going to add a stalk here. There we go. Colour that in. And then I'm going to colour it in with 2 different types of green and some red as well. So meet me back here when you've finished colouring your fruit. That's all done. I've used 2 different greens and a red, and now I'm going to cut the middle to make it look like someone's been nibbling on this apple. So I'm going to cut 3 big bite marks. 1, 2, 3. And there's the top. And now I'm going to do the same again on the bottom. 3 big bite marks. 1, be careful with these scissors. 2, and 3. There. Now this middle piece is the bit that's been eaten, so we're not going to need that. We can just put that to one side. And that leaves us with the top and the bottom of our apple. Now let's bring back those lolly sticks. So the sticks are dry and I've cut them out, but I need to do some seeds on them. So I'm going to use this pen and draw some seeds like this, just to remind us of all the seed-bearing fruit. There we go, couple on here, one there and there. I think that's probably enough. That's very seedy for an apple. They're not usually that seedy. And then we are going to glue the bottom of our apple to the bottom and the top of our apple to the top. We now have a rather nibbled apple, which will make a fantastic bookmark. What other kinds of fruits could you do? And here is my finished apple core bookmark. Can you see that? If I hold that up to the camera there we go. Now I'm definitely not going to lose my place in my book with a bookmark this size. And I enjoyed doing that so much that I decided to make one in the shape of a pear as well. Can you see that I've made little teeth nibbles around the edges with my scissors? So it looks like I've taken 2 big bites out of this pear. It reminds me that in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it tells us God has given us all the seed-bearing fruits and all the trees that carry those seed-bearing fruits. And the seeds are according to the kind of the fruits. So an apple will only ever have apple seeds, and a pear will only ever have pear seeds. God's given us all these things because it's important for us to stay fit and healthy. So you've got to eat up your fruits and vegetables. Talking of being fit and healthy, I think we now need to move our bodies a bit because we've been sat down for quite a while, haven't we? So why don't we jump up together and do our goodbye song? And I will see you here next week for another episode of Amplify. Until then, take care, God bless, and bye-bye. Bye, friends. Bye. We're going to sing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. Some of my friends here at Amplify have written 3 new verses, and they've thought about the things they're grateful that God has in His hands. So we're going to sing He's got the cats and the dogs in His hands. He's got the paint and the paintbrushes in His hands. And He's got the pepperoni pizza in His hands. Are you ready? Let's sing. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole wide world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the cats and the dogs in His hands. He's got the cats and the dogs in His hands. He's got the cats and the dogs in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the paints and the paintbrushes in His hands. He's got the paints and the paintbrushes in His hands. He's got the paints and the paintbrushes in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the pepperoni pizza in His hands. He's got the pepperoni pizza in His hands. He's got the pepperoni pizza in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole wide world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. See you next time. Bye.